Okay, so for today's video, we're going to be checking out the Purim story, take two. You guys went off in the comment section about the last video about how there were so many inaccuracies. This lady had no idea what she was talking about. There was the spark notes of the spark notes. So, Y Gross sent me this one. He said that this one does a better job of explaining everything. So hopefully we learned something new that the other video didn't touch on. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
There once was a king named Achashverosh who threw a wild party that lasted for, get this, 180 days.
Oh.
Achashverosh called for his wife, Vashti.
Akashverosh. My goodness. 180 days? This man likes to party, eh?
To appear in her royal crown because he was so proud of how beautiful she looked. Guess what? She refused. Not because she minded the attention, but because she wasn't looking great that day. Now, what's a king without a queen? And our king needed a new one, so he dispatched guards to find him a fitting wife. Eventually, they found a Jewish girl named Esther, who had been adopted by her wise and learned cousin Mordecai. Mordecai advised her to keep her Jewish identity a secret.
Okay. So I think I did see that in the comments. Somebody had said that Mordecai wasn't her uncle, it was her cousin. Okay, so I guess this one is now following along the proper story here. Okay.
Her wise and learned cousin Mordecai. Mordecai advised her to keep her Jewish identity a secret. Of all the maidens, the king chose Esther to be his queen. Worried about his cousin, Mordecai hung around the palace to make sure she was okay. That, coupled with the fact that he knew tons of languages, allowed him to overhear two bad guys, Bigtan and Teresh, plotting to kill the king.
Oh.
He had Esther tell her husband, and the day was saved. But all was not well. The king had an advisor named Haman, who was evil. Like, really evil.
Oh, okay. So I guess by telling the king of this previous attack of some sort that was going to happen on his life, she kind of built a better rapport with him, I guess, for later on when she came to him to tell him about Haman and his plan. That definitely was left out. Okay.
He wanted everyone to bow down to him, which pretty much worked, except for Mordecai the Jew, who insisted that he bowed to no one other than God himself. Haman was mad and convinced the king to hold a giant Kill All the Jews Day, which he did.
Wow. That's pretty intense from somebody not bowing to you. So I did see that in the comments as well, that somebody had said that the reason Mordecai didn't bow was because I guess it's taught that you should only be bowing to Hashem. So again, sounds like it's following along. So let me go back a second.
Haman was mad and convinced the king to hold a giant Kill All the Jews Day, which he determined by picking a lot, which is called a Purim in Persian. Mordecai found out and told Esther, who agreed to talk to the king about the issue, as long as everyone would fast and pray for her, which they did. Esther approached the king and invited him and Haman to a private party. At the party, she invited them to yet another party. Haman felt pretty good, until he bumped into Mordecai. Haman's wife, who was an even bigger creep than he was, told him to build a giant gallows upon which
Zeresh? I guess that's her name. I love the unibrow of these
Haman's
guys.
wife, who was an even bigger creep than he was, told him to build a giant gallows upon which to hang Mordecai. Meanwhile, the king could not sleep, and he asked that his royal records be read to him. What do you know? The reader read about how Mordecai saved the king and had never been rewarded. And what do you know? Who walks in? Haman, eager to tell the king about his plot to hang Mordecai. Bam! The king told Haman to honor Mordecai by parading him around town wearing the king's robes, sitting on the king's horse.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, all of this was like omitted. I'm guessing this is what's in the I'm gonna screw up the name of this now. Megillah? The Megillah?
it gets better. That night, Haman arrived for the party, and Esther spilled the beans. She was Jewish, and Haman was trying to kill her people. That did not end well for Haman. And the day when Haman's lotto picked to kill all the Jews ended up being the day the Jews neutralized their enemies. And the day after is celebrated as Purim. Lots. Yeah! Okay, so that was the Purim story, with lots of villains and heroes.
Okay, so here we go. We got still 2 minutes, so we definitely are going to get a better extra story here.
But there is one major hero whom we did not mention. Who is that? God.
Okay.
You know why? Because he's not mentioned in the text, not even once. How can that be? How can a book of the Bible not mention God? That's because the Purim story happened to puppets. No, really, even when this happened for real in ancient Persia, everyone was just a puppet in the hands of the master puppeteer, God. Even though he was invisible, he was there behind the scenes. After the people prayed and reinforced their unshakable bond with God, he made everything line up just so that the good guys won and the bad guys didn't. That's how it is with life. Behind everything that happens, the puppeteer, God, is pulling the strings for you. We celebrate this divinely orchestrated...
That's a very interesting way to look at things. Because it, again, like I've said before, like there's always, it seems like within, especially Judaism, there's always, it seems like even if you stray off path, like I've said in many other videos, it always seems like you have a guiding light back to what's on task and Hashem and all that stuff. And if you look at it as him kind of being a puppet master, he kind of could, nudge you in the right direction or, help you guide yourself back to that kind of thing too.
Victory every year on Purim with 4 special mitzvahs. We listen to the Scroll of Esther, aka the Megillah, where this epic tale is told both evening and morning. We give gifts of food called Mishloach Manot, sending at least 2 food items to at least 1 friend. We give charity to at least 2 poor people, and we enjoy a festive meal during Purim Day. Since this story has a...
So those are all the mitzvahs, so those have to be done, right? Those are the commandments. Okay. Since this story has a super happy ending...
super happy ending, we make sure to be super happy, dressing in silly costumes, making jokes, and having a grand time. It's a time that we can lose ourselves, go beyond the confines of nature, and connect to God in a topsy-turvy way, beyond all expectations. Happy Purim!
Yeah, that was a lot better. There was no mention, at least in this one, of like a Jewish Halloween, which, like I said, that's how I've known it to be, and that lady kind of said it in the other one, so that's why I said that. Okay. But yeah, so this it didn't really touch on the cookies though. The Toshins. I know I screwed that up, but it didn't mention that part, which I don't know if that's as important as the rest of the story. But yeah, no, definitely enjoyed this one as well. I'm gonna drop that one a like. For anyone who hasn't checked this out, I'll leave it in the description below and you guys can watch it. Looks like this is meant for kids to teach them. Try YouTube Kids, and there's a lot of kids stuff here, but I think they told the story really, really well, so definitely give it a check. As always, you guys let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought about this one, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.